I've heard a lot of people say like social media is just a big popularity contest. Social media is so fake. It's just a highlight reel. And in some ways it is, but you don't have to see it that way.
Hey, my feel good friend, and welcome to another episode of the Feel Good Social podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm so dang grateful to be in your earbuds. How often do I say that? Is it too much? How much is too much to tell you how grateful I am to you, my feel gooder, for tuning in? Thank you so much for showing up here every week. I love hopping in your earbuds and just giving you, I don't know, a little something to listen to. Today's guest is, probably one of the sweetest people I know. Seriously. Her name is Shelby. This is actually her second time on the podcast. So if you want to go back and listen to Shelby's first episode, oh shoot, we looked it up and I'm totally spacing on what her episode number was. I'm pretty sure it was episode 48. But I do say it later on in this interview. So if you want to go listen to Shelby's first episode, we talk about a lot of cool things in that sode as well. Okay, that sounded super nerdy to call it a sode. I will not do that again, my friend. But in today's episode, I was so excited to bring Shelby back on. She's giving us an update on where she is in her business. She's a social media manager and she works with spiritual entrepreneurs. And one of her cornerstones of her business is authenticity and storytelling and just showing up online in a real way that aligns with you and aligns with your ideal customers, right? So you know that we geek out in this episode. Shelbs shares so many awesome tips about just some of my favorite topics, right? And so I know you'll find this episode to be super helpful. If you do enjoy the episode, don't forget to share it with a biz buddy who could also use to hear it, and or share it to your Instagram stories. And if you do, make sure you tag both of us. I'm at Feel Good Social. Shelby is at Shelby Lavery Creative, which I have linked in the show notes if you want to see how to spell it. But make sure you tag us if you share it to your Instagram stories, because we would love to see it and also reshare it to our stories as well, and just connect with you on Instagram, give you a follow, all the things. All right, without further ado, my friend, let's go ahead and dive into this awesome conversation with my gal, Shelby. Hey, friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. On this show, we chat about social media strategy and mindset tips with a focus on, you guessed it, feeling good. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. Real quick, have I invited you to join the Feel Good Social Club yet? Oh man, my friend, I would love for you to check out our new monthly membership for down-to-earth entrepreneurs who are ready to create content with ease, actually show up and strategically market your business online every month, and also make friends with rad down-to-earth entrepreneurs who are just like you, who get it, who are in the posting trenches with you, and who are ever ready to give you a friendly air high five or kick in the accountability booty whenever you need it. The Feel Good Social Club is where it is at. Check it out, feelgoodsocial.com/club. In the club, we have a content library full of Canva templates and tutorials and resources to help you make content creation as easy as possible. We also have monthly content planning workshops where we all come together and talk about the upcoming month's strategy for our content. And we also have community forums where you can get together, ask questions of other club members, brainstorm ideas, ask for feedback. So definitely check it out, feelgoodsocial.com/club. Our Feel Good members are seriously some of the most amazing people that I have ever met. And I would love for you to join us, feelgoodsocial.com/club. Check it out. Join today. We would love to see you in there, my friend. All right, let's dive back into today's episode. Hi, Shelby. Oh man, lady, I am so excited to bring you back on the Feel Good Social podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, honey.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yes. Okay, well, just so you guys know, if you didn't hear in the intro, Shelbs is a second-time guest on the show. Her first episode was episode 46. If you enjoy our conversation and you want to go back and listen to that. But for people who haven't heard your first episode, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and who you serve and all those things?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm Shelby. I am a social media manager / content creator / storyteller. And I mainly serve spiritual and holistic entrepreneurs. And what I really do is I just help them tell their story on social media and do it in a way that helps connect them with their ideal clients and customers.
Yeah. Oh, and I cannot wait to chat with you about storytelling. And I love how like clear and concise you are on who you serve and how you help people and all those things. Cause I feel like we've known each other for a hot minute now, and I've really gotten to see you evolve through your journey of like starting your own business and figuring all the things out. And I personally so resonate with that myself. I think because, everyone in entrepreneurship has that journey, I think, of figuring it out. So, would you, before we get into like the nitty gritty of storytelling and stuff, can you tell us a little bit about what your journey has looked like as like you've been building your business and all those things?
Yeah, it's looked interesting. I've definitely gone through a lot of different phases. I kind of fell into social media management by accident when I was a senior in college back in 2019. And I had a recruiter reach out to me for this beauty brand that was looking for someone to manage their social media. And my immediate thought was, why the heck are you reaching out to me? I've never done this before. But I ended up working with them for over a year. And through that process, I kind of had the realization like, wow, I can make this into a career and I can do this thing on my own. And I don't necessarily have to work at a big marketing agency like I thought I did. And yeah, it's just evolved from there. And last March of 2021, I took my business full time, which was a big step for me. And since then, it's been just ebbing and flowing. And I've worked with lots of different types of clients. And through that process, I've really learned who I like to work with and who I don't necessarily like to work with as much. And yeah, right now I'm entering a new phase into my business, which is really exciting and just trying to figure out all the things.
Yep, sounds about right. And that is so awesome. And yes, congrats. I remember being there when you're like, okay, I think I'm going to start doing this full time. And it's so scary, but I'm so glad you took that jump and did the thing. And here's the thing that I love too, that you said is like, I think that our culture is shifting a little bit to be more transparent and real about the hardships in life and entrepreneurship and all the different things. But at the same time, often the story we hear is like, just take the leap and the net will catch you, or just like, go for it, go for your dreams. Like things will work out. It'll be great. But like, we don't talk about how like, okay, yeah, we take the leap and it's still freaking hard. There's still so much to learn. There's so much ebbing and flowing and like pivoting and all the things. So thanks for sharing that with us, lady. And I also loved what you said about learning what clients you love to work with and what ones you don't love to work with. Could you maybe share a little bit about that at all? Because I've definitely had that too, where I'm like, oh, okay. Yes. So this is the type of person who we're going to say no to in the future. And that's okay. They might be great clients for other people, not for me.
Yeah, a lot of it has really just me learning how to set boundaries with myself and with my clients. And what I've realized is that if you don't set those boundaries right up front, people will take advantage of you. And it's not in a way that they're meaning to take advantage of you or they have like ill intentions. It's just, if you don't let them know ahead of time, like, these are my boundaries, this is how I work, this is how I do all the things, then they're going to cross those boundaries once you even know you've set them. And yeah, it's been interesting. And I've definitely had to have some hard conversations with past clients with that boundary setting. And it's all just a learning experience. And I've definitely had experiences where I'm like, dang, like I really should have let that client know when we started working together 5 months ago that this is how I want to do things. But I think those experiences are necessary because we don't know what we don't know. And people can tell you over and over again, like how important boundary setting is. But until you kind of like make mistakes a little bit on your own, you don't really get that experience, and then you don't really learn from it.
Oh my gosh, totally. I'm over here getting very seat squirmy and excited. I'm probably going to be very, very excited about so many things you say in this interview, but it's so true. And I love that you brought it up to the boundaries. And that's, oh man, that's something I feel deep in my soul. And I hear what you say about having to kind of go through it. And it's definitely more difficult to set boundaries after the fact. But here's the thing, like boundaries are so great for you yourself for not feeling resentful or frustrated, for giving yourself the space you need to breathe and live your life to the fullest and all those different things. But also boundaries are so great for your clients too. My very first client was my very first boundary experience. And oh man, was it a rough one. But she was one of those people who, you know, it was a restaurant industry client. So they have like later hours anyway. They work at different times, all these things. But she was definitely one of the clients who, you know, thought it was okay to text at 10 p.m. and ask for something within the hour and all these different things. And I had to, learn how. And she was kind of also, I don't know if you'll resonate with this, but she's kind of intimidating. You know, I'm not a very like pushy or aggressive person. I'm kind of more of a put my tail between my legs type of person in general and stuff. And so it was very difficult to learn how to set boundaries with her. But honestly, actually, there was some resistance when I started doing it. She was kind of frustrated and all that stuff. But she actually came back to me like months later and was like, you know, you like, even though it was frustrating for me, like you setting boundaries, like you have taught me like more about this and like how to do this and stuff. And I was like, dang, okay, this is a great full circle thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I love that story. And that just proves that even if it like feels frustrating or scary in the moment to have to set that boundary with that client, ultimately it's worth it for both people involved or whoever's involved, because if both people have boundaries, like set boundaries that they're having, then everyone's happy and no one steps on each other's toes accidentally. No one makes each other resentful of the other person. And yeah, I just love that story about how she was like, you setting boundaries helped me learn how to set my own boundaries. And that's so powerful.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and just like a disclaimer, guys, that's not always going to happen. For sure. I was kind of surprised, but something to keep in mind that even if the other person doesn't recognize it or something like that, I do think that everything works together and like it happens, even if it's not stated and stuff. But yeah, pretty cool. And thank you so much for bringing that up, because exactly, it is scary. It's hard, especially when you're new to it and all this stuff. And so that was such a great lesson to learn for sure. Okay. I really want to chat with you about storytelling and how you help your clients tell their stories on social media, because firstly, I geek out about this stuff. I think you know that. But also, I think that this is something that it can be really like hard and confusing for people, like storytelling in like a marketing perspective and a brand perspective, and how do you bring yourself into your business and all that stuff. Like, it's not something that a lot of people talk about with like, I don't know, like give guidelines for and stuff. So how do you approach that with your clients?
Yeah. So with every new client I bring on, I have a strategy session with them, and it basically just involves me asking them a bunch of questions about their business, about their journey, how they got started in their business, all those types of questions. And from there, I really try to dig in and figure out like the core components of their story and how to best tell it in a way that reaches the souls and the hearts of their ideal audience. Because a lot of the people I work with are spiritual entrepreneurs and holistic entrepreneurs. So their business is them in a way. So you can't really have like that disconnect between like, oh, if it was like a restaurant and a restaurant owner was your client, it's like the owner of the restaurant isn't necessarily like the face of the business or the whole business. But with the type of people I work with, it's they are their business, and like the services they're offering are so close to their heart and soul. And it's really just like digging in deep. And I really encourage my clients to journal about like their past experiences and like the things that were hard in their business and the things that were fun in their business. And I really try to help them figure out like all the bits and pieces of their stories and like how to break it down into actionable like tips for their audience, or actionable just like little tidbits of their story that people can really resonate with.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I love that so much. So journal about all the hard questions and stuff like that. And then look for like themes and different parts that you can do. And I love too how you're bringing it back to like a messaging thing more than like a social media thing, right? Or like not really, but like I think messaging is the first step. And so I love that you said that. It's like a lot of people, I think, who are kind of new to marketing and social media and stuff like that. They're like, okay, just got to show up and like figure out like what kind of content should I create, right? But it's the first step is figuring out who am I, who's my ideal client, and how do I want to speak to them in a way that like resonates with them and also like portrays myself, my business in the way that we really want to be showing up and what we want to be known for and stuff, right? And then once you figure that out, it's like, okay, now how can we create social media content?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, that's the thing. It's like, I feel like a lot of people, when they're just starting out, are really intimidated by social media because I've heard a lot of people say like, social media is just a big popularity contest. Social media is so fake. It's just a highlight reel. And in some ways it is, but you don't have to see it that way if you don't want it to. You can make the choice to show up as you are, be totally transparent with your audience, or as transparent as you feel comfortable with. I'm not saying you have to share like every single detail of your life, but you do have to be vulnerable in a way, and you do have to show up as your most authentic self, because no one wants to just see the prettiest, the brightest, shiniest version of you all the time. They want to relate to another human being that's going through the shit sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's put a pin in like authenticity and transparency real quick, because I want to come back and ask you for like how to approach that on social media. But also, I loved what you said about like you hear people who you work with talking about like how social media is fake, how it's like a highlight reel, all these different things, and they're frustrated with social media and stuff like that. And I definitely resonate with that and feel the same way. And I'm laughing too, because I think that if you are frustrated, this totally comes back to feel good social and using social media in a way that feels good to you, right? Too. And that's why I'm like getting excited, because if you are frustrated with social media, if you are frustrated with the way like people are showing up online, then don't show up that way. Then make the change yourself, and you'll attract other people who are on that same level with you, who have those same values. And those are the people who you can resonate with and help. Those are your ideal people, right? And so I don't know, that just popped up for me, where it's like, if you're feeling resistance on the platform, if you're frustrated with something, okay, let's think about that. How can you make a change yourself in the way you show up? And that's probably going to allow other people to be attracted to you. It'll make you more magnetic for those people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's becoming more and more relevant as we head into 2022 and just the landscape of social media itself. People want to see more transparency. People don't want to have these rigid guidelines of like what you have to do in order to be like quote unquote successful on social media. You have to define success for yourself. And if posting 7 days a week, posting 3 stories every day doesn't feel like success to you, then that's okay. And I feel like a lot of people get caught up in like all the rules and guidelines that get thrown out there in order to like raise your following and all these things. But those are based on what has worked for them and what they've seen, but not necessarily what will work for you. And you don't want to put all this pressure on yourself to live up to these expectations that just don't feel good to you. Because if those expectations don't feel good, you're going to form resistance to it. And that's going to come through in your social media content.
Yes. Yeah, lady. Dropping the mic. Not really, because I would make a loud clash, but you know what I'm saying. Oh my gosh. Yes. I love that so much. And I think you're so right too. It was so funny looking up like social media trends, marketing trends, like for 2022 and stuff, and like reading all the tips. And it's like, these are things that like me and my community, like who feel the same way like this about social media, have been saying for years, you know, like cut the BS. But I think it's so like, especially, I don't know if it has to do with the pandemic and all the hardships that we've all been going through. I think it has to do somewhat with like the younger generation. We've had this conversation, you and I, before. It's like 18-year-olds have like so much freaking confidence. Like, good for you guys, but like, I don't know how you do it and stuff. But I think that you're so right. I'm so excited to see where our culture is going, because I think that there's a lot of tension and there's a lot of old ways of doing things that are now being disrupted. And it's kind of scary when things that have been the same way for years are disrupted. But I think it's going to lead to like something so much better, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely think so too. It's like these rules of like general marketing guidelines, like social media guidelines, have been in place for years. And it was all based on how things were like pre-pandemic. And honestly, the past like 2 years have just disrupted everything we know as a culture, and like how to market yourself online. Like, how do you market your business in a pandemic online if like you weren't doing it that way before? Mm-hmm. And honestly, like, I'm not bashing those marketing guidelines. If you want to like follow the marketing experts out there and that feels good to you, go for it. But also, I really encourage people to just take things with a grain of salt and really reflect on, does this feel good for me? And do I think this would work for my brand and for my business? Mm-hmm. And you can always switch it up too. You could always try something. And if it doesn't work or if it doesn't feel good, then you move on and you try something different.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I love this. Do you know what your brand vibe is on Instagram? I have a new fun quiz that's just for you, my friend. I, of all people, know how hard it is to figure out how the heck you're supposed to translate your brand to the gram. And with this quick 7-question quiz, we will help you hone in on your brand's personality, voice, and visuals so that you can show up consistently and create content that looks beautiful and feels on brand for you. This quiz is so awesome. It's been a long time coming, and I know that you're going to have a lot of fun with it. Plus, the results will help you show up in the best way for you. If you'd like to check out our new brand vibe quiz, just head to feelgoodsocial.com/quiz. Pretty easy. Head to feelgoodsocial.com/quiz to find out what your brand's vibe is on social media and start showing up there for your brand. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into authenticity and how people do that, because it's kind of funny. I've had people like, I feel like there are 2 camps. Well, maybe there's like more camps than that. There's like 3 camps. There's the people who are like, I'm being authentic. And it's like, no, you ain't. Like #authentic. There's the people who are like, authenticity isn't hard. You just be you, you know? And then there's people who are like, I don't know what the heck I like showing up online authentically means. So like, what is your take on this, Shelbs?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to figure out what being authentic means to you, because honestly, it's different for everyone. And that's a big thing I've had to learn for myself. It's like being authentic to someone might be showing up on live every day, like interacting with their followers every single day, posting as many times as they want per week. And if that works for them, that's awesome. But authenticity for someone else might be, you know, sharing the shitty things that are happening in their life and seeing if other people can relate to it, or making people feel less alone through a post or a story or whatever it might be. And I think you really just have to sit with yourself and define what authentic means to you. And from there, you just constantly have to redefine what authentic means to you. And I feel like the word authentic gets thrown around a lot, especially in the past year, I've seen it thrown around a lot. It's like, be authentic, be yourself. And it's like, yeah, being authentic is being yourself, but what does that mean? What does being yourself really mean? And for me, being authentic means just showing up as I am that day, whether I'm happy, whether I'm sad, and just trying to be as relatable and as transparent with my community as possible, because I know that a lot of us have been going through a lot the past 2 years, and it can sometimes be really hard to be positive all the time. And for me, authenticity is not being positive all the time, because that's just not real. And yeah, I just really think you have to define that for yourself and then move forward from there.
Ooh, I love that. I love your answer, and like how authenticity is there's different definitions depending on who you are, and you get to decide what it means to you. That's so awesome. And I love how you look at authenticity too. And it's something that you kind of have to think about again and again. Something I would love to get your take on too, because I think about this all the time, and it kind of comes back to the transparency thing, right? Where you're talking about, you're like, you don't have to show up and like air your dirty laundry on Instagram, on your brand's Instagram every day and stuff, right? Like, so I love that take, but like, what am I trying to say? Balancing authenticity with strategy for business, like you're a marketer and stuff. And that's something that I kind of mull over in my head often, is like, okay, so how do we walk that line between still showing up in a strategic way for our business, but then also showing up as like our most authentic self? And I think that a lot of people get confused when it comes to that sort of thing too. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's something I think about all the time for myself too, because obviously our goals as marketers is to create success for our clients, for ourselves, and make each other money, right? But you also have to think about like the tactics and the strategies you're using, if they feel authentic to you and your clients. And yeah, I mean, whenever I post like tip posts, or like, I think I posted something the other day, it's like how to be your most authentic self on social media. And I can say what's worked for me, but I always encourage my community to think about, does this resonate for you? Does this feel good to you? Do you think this would work for you and your business? If the answer is yes, great. If the answer is no, maybe sit with it and be like, okay, how can I take what I learned and make it work for me and my brand in a strategic way?
Oh my gosh, yes. I totally agree with that. And I love that you always bring it back to yourself. And I love that you always bring it back to the fact that there's no like hard and fast rules. And you also don't have to get it right the first time, you can test things out. You can try things out. You can do things wrong and learn from them. And I think that that's still a success.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. I think getting things wrong is all a part of the process. And I even ask myself, like, was it wrong? Like, when you use the word wrong, it's like, is it really wrong if you still learned something from it or learned how to do it in a better way the next time? Because if you see, like, let's say you post a reel that doesn't perform that well or doesn't get that many views, you're like, okay, what can I learn from this quote unquote mistake that I made and make it better in the future?
Yes, I love that. And I'm over here laughing because usually my gut response is to throw the middle finger at Instagram and be like, what the heck, Instagram? So I love your reaction to that, instead of being like, okay, what can I learn from this? Which usually I tend to calm down, after a few hours and try to do that. But also sometimes I'm just like, the algorithm hates me. I've definitely like found my little like sneaky shoulder voice whispering in my ears telling me those things. So thanks for sharing that, Shel.
Yeah, I mean, I have that voice too. And I think it's totally normal for you to be like angry. You're like, why didn't this rank in the algorithm? Like, screw you, Instagram. I'm so mad. But like, at the end of the day, it's like the algorithm isn't out to get you. It's just it's not like someone is sitting there like deciding like this post, I don't like it, so I'm gonna throw it away and not make it reach people. It's like that's not what's happening. And you just have to constantly figure out what works for you, what people resonate with, and grow from there.
Yes. Okay. I love that. Okay. Quickly, I would love to know if you have any thoughts or tips or anything when it comes to all of the platform changes recently for Instagram, because I will be honest with you, I have been kind of just like waiting for Instagram to slow its roll a little bit to like really start thinking about, because it just is so freaking annoying. Like I think I read an article yesterday that like Instagram introduced like 25 new features or like made like tons of new changes in the past year. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh my goodness. So, is there anything that's popped out to you lately that you're like, okay, this is a change that like I was saying something before, but now Instagram made a change and we need to do something a little differently? Or is there anything like that? If not, no worries, lady.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've been a little frustrated, to be completely honest, with how many changes they've been rolling out so quickly. And I think it's because they're just trying to compete with TikTok and all of the other social media platforms, which I get it. They have to like stay relevant, right? But I think, again, coming back to yourself and deciding which features you do want to utilize in your strategy, because I do think a lot of them are helpful. Like, for example, like the link sticker now. Now you don't need 10,000 followers to have a link sticker, which I think is great. Like I use the link sticker all the time. And yeah, I think you just have to take everything with a grain of salt and decide which features you want to use, which ones you think are dumb for your, not dumb, but like aren't
you can
strategic.
Say that.
Okay, I'll say it. Are dumb or won't work for your brand or your business. And you just have to, again, just figure out what works for you. And if you want to test them out, great. And if they start working for you, if people resonate with them, maybe consider including them in your strategy moving forward. But you can always play around, and it doesn't have to be this serious thing all the time. Like just because you use a feature once doesn't mean you have to continue using it if you don't like it.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for giving us that permission. I love it. I know. And that's kind of how I always am. Like, okay, bring it back to like your brand, your audience, and what makes sense for you. And also your life, right? Your own personal life as the person creating content, stuff like that. Thank you so much for that permission, Shelbs. Okay. Before we get into all the details about how people can work with you and stuff, I would love to just like quickly ask you about the Feel Good Social Club as a Feel Good Social Clubber, an OG member. And I love too so much that you are a social media manager within the club, making connections and stuff, because it's just so much fun. We have quite a few social media managers in there mixed in with like lots of different types of entrepreneurs in industry. And so it's so much fun to have all of you guys in there too, like connecting, being able to network and also share like your advice and knowledge and all those different things. So can you just tell us a little bit about maybe how you feel about the Feel Good Social Club or what you found the most helpful in there, lady?
Yeah, definitely. I love being a part of the club, and I've just loved like meeting everyone in there through the content planning workshops. That's probably the most valuable thing to me, is those workshops, because I just love talking to people. I love brainstorming ideas with people. I love helping people out with their content. I love receiving feedback on my content and how I could improve it. And yeah, I just think it really fosters like a place of connection without the pressure of selling to people, because I feel like that's a lot of online communities where you feel pressure to sell to the people in the club or page or wherever it is. And it's kind of the opposite of that. Like you don't feel like you have to like get a new client or a customer or whatever it is. It's just coming from a place of genuine connection and curiosity and just wanting to learn from other people and get their perspective on things and get their perspective on what they think social media should look like for their brand. And it's just been really eye-opening and just like such a fresh perspective on social media in general.
Oh, thanks, lady. My heart is overflowing right now. I just love that. And I love having you in there. And exactly, like, I'm so glad that you brought up the content planning workshops because and I'm so glad that they're like that idea that I had, like for breaking into small groups and having everyone talk to each other and stuff. I'm like, ooh, is this going to be good? Like, is this going to be something that people like or not? And so it just makes me so happy that everyone is like loving connecting with each other because that's really what the club's all about. And so thank you for sharing that. Okay, lady. So now I want you to talking about pitching. Tell us all about the things. Like, how can people connect with you, find out more about you, and tell us about what you are offering right now? Because I know people want to hear that as well.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm still taking one-on-one clients, like done for you content clients. That's the main service I offer, but I also offer community engagement for my clients. I offer graphic creation, blog writing. I kind of offer like a variety of different things. All of them are listed on my website if you want to take a look. But now I'm actually working on a new offer and I haven't really been talking about it on social media. So you're getting a little inside knowledge here. But,
woo, woo. We feel special. Okay, tell us, what is it?
So I'm working on my first course and I'm very excited about it. I'm planning on launching it at the end of February/early March. And it's all going to be all about social media mindset and really how to foster a positive mindset around social media before you start creating your own content. Because I feel like that's something that's really important. And a lot of people, like we talked about earlier, a lot of people think they just have to show up and that's it. And that's only one part of it. And if you come from a place where you're really excited to be on social media, you're excited to connect with your community in a way that feels good, then that energy is going to come through in your content. And yeah, I'm just really excited about the course I'm building. So
yay, so exciting. Okay, so tell us how people can connect with you. And this episode, let's be honest, I'm not sure when this is coming out yet, but it might be coming out around that time. So they'll definitely want to like be heading to your website to check out the course too. But tell us the Instagrams and the website, lady.
Yeah, so my website is just shelbylavery.com. Pretty simple, just my name. And you can always connect with me on Instagram at Shelby Lavery Creative. And I'm always happy to chat with people there. And I love growing my community and just connecting with other entrepreneurs who get it, who get the struggles, who get all the joys and benefits of entrepreneurship. So I'd love to connect with you on there.
Yay. Okay. And we'll link everything in the show notes, but thank you so much for joining us, Shelbs. It was so fun to chat with you again, as always. And so I appreciate you for coming on the Feel Good Social podcast. Thanks, lady.
Yeah. Thanks for having me back again. It was so much fun.
How wonderful is Shelby, you guys? I love chatting with that lady so much. She is just so great. So don't forget, if you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, share it to your Instagram stories and make sure that you tag both of us, because if you don't tag us in your stories, we won't see it, right? So I'm at Feel Good Social. Shelby is at Shelby Lavery Creative, which I've linked down below if you want to know how to spell it. And we would love to connect with you over on Instagram and just give you a follow, reshare your story, whatever it is, hit us up in the DMs. We would love to connect with you, my friend. All right. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will catch you next time I catch you. Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.